Hello friends, welcome to Jinesh IAS Academy Editorial Analysis dated September 3, 2019. In this editorial analysis, we do three things. We link it to UPSC CSE syllabus, we understand the key points of editorial, and at the end, we also look at key concepts to learn, which are also very important from the examination point of view. So let's begin today's editorial. The article is based on Pakistan's UN fantasy that was published in the Indian Express on September 2, 2019. It talks about the Pakistan has sought UN mediation despite being bound by the principle of bilateralism under the 1972 Simla Agreement. It comes under UPSC Mains GS Paper 2 under the broad headlines of important international institutions, India and its neighborhood, groupings and agreements involving India and affecting India's interest. After failing to get the UN Security Council UNSC to take formal notice of its antiques over Article 370 and the situation in Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan has yet again attempted to internationalize J&K by writing to the President of the UNSC. It has asked for doubling the strength of the United Nations Military Observer Group in India and Pakistan observers and to pursue India to follow them to patrol on its sides of the line of control as well. In the letter, Pakistan Foreign Minister Shah Muhammad Qureshi further requested the UNSC to consider all possible avenues available under the UN Charter to fulfill its responsibility of maintaining peace in the region. Now you may have the question arising, maybe some of you may know it, but let me explain this Article 370 in detail. J&K Assembly will have a 5-year term, not 6 as was the earlier case. Section 32 of the J&K 2019 bill proposes that the Assembly can make laws on any subjects in the state and the concurrent list except on the state subjects relating to public order and police. This is similar to Article 239A of the Constitution that is applicable to Union Territories of Puducherry and Delhi. However, by insertion of Article 239AA and by virtue of the 69th Constitutional Amendment, the Delhi Assembly cannot legislate on matters in Entry 18 of State List, that is land. In the case of J&K, the Assembly can make laws on land. Now, we will see a situation before abrogation of Article 370 and now after abrogation of Article 370. Now, we will see the difference. In Article 370, first point you are seeing, on October 17, 1949, Article 370 was added to the Indian Constitution as a temporary provision which exempted Jammu and Kashmir, permitting it to draft its own constitution and restricting the Indian Parliament's legislative power in the state. In abrogation of Article 370, first point, Jammu and Kashmir will no longer have the separate constitution flag or anthem. The second point of Article 370, it was introduced into the draft constitution by N. Gopalaswamy Iyengar as Article 306A. The second point of abrogation of Article 370, the citizens of Jammu and Kashmir will not have the dual citizenship. The third point of Article 370, under Article 370, the Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir was empowered to recommend which articles of the Indian Constitution should apply to the state. The third point of abrogation of Article 370, as the new Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir will be subject to the Indian Constitution, its citizens will now have the fundamental rights enshrined in the Indian Constitution. The fourth point of Article 370, the J&K Constituent Assembly was dissolved after it drafted the state's constitution. Clause 3 of the Article 370 gives the President of India the power to amend its provisions and scope. The fourth point of abrogation of Article 370, Article 360, which can be used to declare a financial emergency, will now also be applicable. The fifth point of Article 370, Article 35A stems from Article 370 and was introduced through a presidential order in 1954 on the recommendation of the J&K Constituent Assembly. And the fifth point of the abrogation of Article 370 is all laws passed by the Parliament will be applicable in Jammu and Kashmir, including the Right to Information Act and the Right to Education Act. The sixth point of Article 370 says Article 35A empowers the Jammu and Kashmir legislature to define the permanent residents of the state and their special rights and privileges. The sixth point of abrogation of Article 370 says the Indian Penal Code will replace the Ranbir Penal Code of Jammu and Kashmir. The last but not the least, seventh point of Article 370 says it appears in Appendix 1 of the Constitution. The seventh point of abrogation of Article 370 says Article 35A, which originates from the provisions of the Article 370, stands null and void, since Presidential Order has extended all provisions of the Constitution to Jammu and Kashmir, including the chapter on fundamental rights. The discriminatory provisions under Article 35A will now be unconstitutional. Now we will see the key points. Pakistan has demanded that UN military observer group in India and Pakistan be allowed along the line of control. Pakistan also wanted US intervention in the Kashmir issue to help de-escalate tensions with India and prevent the possibility of nuclear conflict. India has always rejected the third party role in its bilateral relationship with Pakistan. Now, what is UN Military Observer Group in India and Pakistan? It was established in January 1949 after the First War in Kashmir 1947 to 1948. India approached the United Nations Security Council UNSC to bring the conflict in Kashmir to the notice of Security Council members. In January 1948, the UNSC adopted Resolution 39 establishing the three-member United Nations Commission for India and Pakistan UNCIP to investigate and mediate the dispute. In April 1948, by its Resolution 47, the UNCIP was reconstituted as UNMO GIP. Now, what is United Nations Security Council? Resolution 47. It is concerned with the resolution of the Kashmir conflict. According to it, Pakistan was to withdraw its national who had entered the state for the purpose of fighting and to prevent future intrusions. The five members of UNMO GIP reconstituted through this resolution urged India and Pakistan to hold a plebiscite after the restoration of law and order. UN Military Observer Group in India and Pakistan was meant to supervise the ceasefire line CFL established in Jammu and Kashmir in July 1949 under the Karachi Agreement. UNMO GIP is funded through the UN's regular budget. Now we'll see what was the Karachi Agreement. After the first Indo-Pak armed conflict in 1948, under the supervision of the UNCIP, military representatives of both Pakistan and India met in Karachi and signed the Karachi Agreement on 27 July 1949. It established a ceasefire line in Kashmir. What was India's stand on Resolution 47? India rejected the UNSC Resolution 47 and maintained that the resolution ignored the military invasion by Pakistan and placed both nations on an equal diplomatic ground was a dismissal of Pakistan's aggression. The Instrument of Accession IOA signed by the Maharaja of Kashmir was ignored in the resolution. Pakistan's stand on Resolution 47. It objected to even the minimum presence of Indian forces in Kashmir as mandated by the resolution. It wanted equal representation in the state government for the dominant party in Pakistani held Kashmir, that is the Muslim Conference. Now, what was the disagreement over role of UNMO GIP? India's stand on UNMO GIP was that the mandate of UNMO GIP had lapsed since it related specifically to the ceasefire line under the Karachi Agreement. India has maintained that UNMO GIP has outlived its utility and is irrelevant after the Simla Agreement and the consequent establishment of the line of control. Now, Pakistan's stand on UNMO GIP. Pakistan did not accept India's position. UN stand. Given the disagreement between the two parties over UNMO GIP's mandate and functions, the UNMO GIP could be terminated only by a decision of the Security Council. Despite their differences with the provisions of Resolution 47, both India and Pakistan welcomed the UNMO GIP and agreed to work with it. Now, what was Simla Agreement? Simla Agreement. It followed from the Bangladesh Liberation War in 1971 that led to the independence of Bangladesh. India and Pakistan signed it in July 1972. It established a line of control (LOC) in Kashmir, which, with minor deviation, followed the same courses as the ceasefire line established by the Karachi Agreement. India and Pakistan mutually agreed on certain principles that both sides would adhere to while managing relations with each other. These emphasized respect for each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty, non-interference in each other's internal affairs, respect for each other's unity, political independence, sovereign equality, and abjuring hostile propaganda. The two countries resolved to solve their difference by peaceful means, through bilateral means or other means mutually agreed upon by them. The UNMO GIP's limited mandate renders it incapable of monitoring the terrorist havens on the Pakistani side of the LOC or preventing cross-border infiltration, nor is it capable of preventing the frequent ceasefire violations. The Indian side has not lodged any complaint over the ceasefire violation by Pakistan since January 1972, which further buttresses India's standpoint on the UNMO GIP and denies it any role. Pakistan continues to lodge complaints about ceasefire violations by India with the UNMO GIP, which issues reports containing the unilateral complaints made by Pakistan. This is yet another example of obfuscation by Pakistan of facts relating to Jammu and Kashmir. In recent years, the Government of India has taken the right steps vis-a-vis the UNMO GIP. In response to a question in Parliament on August 13, 2014, the then Minister of State for External Affairs, V.K. Singh, stated that the UNMO GIP was mandated to supervise the CFL established in July 1949 under the agreement between military representatives of India and Pakistan, and that with the signing of the Simla Agreement and the establishment of the LOC, its role had become redundant and further that it had outlived its relevance. The GOI, Government of India, has taken various steps asking the UNMO GIP to vacate government properties in India which had been provided free of charge until then. Action has also been taken to monetize various other facilities that were earlier being provided free of cost to the UNMO GIP. Given President Donald Trump's strong criticism of the performance of the UN and his laminating the fact that the US provides 1/4 of its budget, it is worth noting that the US alone contributes $4.3 million, the lion's share of the UNMO GIP's annual budget of $19.7 million. These funds could be better utilized to achieve sustainable development goals, in developing countries, including for the long-suffering people of Pakistan who have yet to realize their true potential as a result of the appalling policies and abysmally poor track record of successive Pakistani governments and military rulers. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has on many occasions driven home the point that eradication of poverty and economic development are the primary and common challenges confronting both countries, and that both countries should work together for the welfare of their peoples. Thank you.